Hello, welcome back to Hoff and Vase talking about stuff. He's Hoff, I'm Vase. Say hi to the people, Hoff.
Hi, people. Good to see y'all. I feel like. Oh, hold on. I do the same thing every time. Okay, there we go. I forgot to mute the stream. It's like 8 seconds delayed or whatever.
Yeah,
I do that every time. Such an amateur. This guy right here. Thanks for having me on, man. I feel like this is gonna be a good one.
Well, a good stream certainly, if not wonderful
that's what I meant.
subject matter.
That's what I meant. So, like, we are gonna have fun.
We always do. Actually, in memory of how much fun we like to have, let's just a 21 clackety salute for the fact that there was no Darth Maul clackety in this movie. Could have saved the whole movie. Clackety, 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 clackety. I'm telling you, if they had done that, I would have been like, I give you points. Because there were so many things with this movie. We're getting into it right away. Here we go. No waiting around.
Right?
Spoilers abound.
Spoilers galore.
I'm reacting to the movie. How can I react to the movie without giving you the spoilers? I don't know how, and I refuse to do it.
Before we get into it, I'd like to just make sure everyone knows I have my trusty Terminator Salvation Cup, as always. So I'm set. Good to go, man. Ready to roll.
And here we go. And just overall, if you give it on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you give this movie, Ho?
People are going to hate me for this, but I give it a 1 out of 10.
A 1?
Yeah, only because it exists. That's the only reason I give it a 1 is because it exists. And I saw it. Besides that, yeah, I'll just let you go.
All right. Well, because you gave it a 1, then I'm going to start with the positives that I saw in this, which there were some. Again,
I like to do that.
It's only fair thing to do because I have more negative to say than positive, but there are some things there that I noticed that deserve to be said, and I did the same thing with The Last Jedi. I hate The Last Jedi. All right, and now I'm not even that big a fan of A Force Awakens just because retroactively it's all crapped up. Okay, but I liked it when it came out. But here's the thing, like it's such a mess. It's a mess. This movie, it tried to make up for the mistakes of the last one without them actually admitting that there were mistakes. It just retconned things within the movie. It had to take time out of its own movie to correct mistakes. It should have just been 2 movies and then forget The Last Jedi ever existed. If you wanted to try and do that, that's the best way to do it, because then they could have gone with a real plot as opposed to the hodgepodge nonsense that not only retroactively, I said I was going to start with nice stuff. It retroactively destroys the plot points they originally set up. It then destroys the plot points that were then destroyed by the Rian Johnson when he did his things. And then it tries to tie that into, the entire legacy. That was their whole thing, was guilt tripping people into coming to see this because it's the end of the Skywalker saga. And it's like, no, it's not. It's the last nail in the coffin. Like, it's a disgusting hodgepodge, a fast-paced mess it looks good. It's pretty. That's what I can say about all these movies. They're very beautiful. Like, Lucasfilm still knows what they're doing as far as special effects goes.
2019, they got millions of dollars.
Yeah, I do know that. And it still looks like better than almost any, like, it looks amazing. Okay. I got to give it that. But that doesn't make up for the fact that the plot holes are unbelievable. The movie starts with them going, how is it so fast paced? They're doing something that we've never seen before called light speed skipping and stuff like that. It's like, you literally, during that scene of them jumping from place to place to place to place without putting anything into the navigational computer and just literally flying straight into things. But, and
Dude,
then
it's so stupid.
And then
so
it's like,
stupid.
what the hell? And then when they get back, they literally pull something. This is something that Rick and Morty made fun of in like season 2 when their car broke down or whatever. And Rick's like, or Morty's like, oh, what do you think it is? The quantum carburetor? It's like, geez, Morty, you can't just stick a sci-fi word onto a normal word and then that's suddenly what it is. It's like, oh, yep, it's the quantum carburetor or something like that. He says like something different. He does that exactly. When the Falcon lands and they're like, oh my gosh, and then they say like 20 things really fast. It's like, you did this, the compressor, and it's like none of that means anything. It's all just jargon.
First of all, I know Poe is the best pilot in the galaxy or whatever in this era.
No, apparently Ray's better.
Okay, but
because he even says Ray's not here, I have to do it.
My point is why? Okay, is that why he's flying the Falcon? Like, I didn't get why he's flying the Falcon. They needed a Han Solo guy in there next to Chewie. They needed someone who represents Han Solo next to Chewie in the Falcon. It was so degrading, man. It's like a spit in the face. It's like that's not Han Solo. I don't hate Poe by any means, but that's not Han Solo. Don't try to make me think it is. I'm not going to be deceived.
No. And their banter was kind of ridiculous. Like, it's very Marvel-like banter.
Let's talk about that worm creature who's only in it for the first 5 minutes. You don't even know.
Oh, that's just during one of the that they were like building up. They're like Gronk or whatever. He's gonna be in it.
He was on the poster. Yeah,
and not even in the scene that you see him in the poster. They show him on the planet there. Like, maybe he's in that scene at some other point, but it's not nearly as much screen time as he gets for the 2 seconds that he's on screen in the Falcon. Where like, literally, it's like, make sure you fix that. And he's like, and it's like,
okay, who is that? Why is he fixing the Falcon? Why is he on the Falcon? What's going on?
Why was that a promotional? And also, Palpatine coming back is a mess.
First 5 minutes, Palpatine's back in it. First 5 minutes.
They don't even show the message. They're just like, he's been playing a message, and then they don't give you the message.
Did you hear about that? The message was delivered in the game Fortnite. Not even a joke. Look it up. Not a joke. I swear to God. You hear me right now? The message from Palpatine was delivered through the game Fortnite.
And they didn't put it in the movie.
No, or on Disney Plus. They put it in the game Fortnite as like an unlockable or something. Swear to God, man, that's the truth.
I guess I don't need to do any more of a review of this movie. That tells you everything you need to know right there. They're throwing shit at walls and trying to get it to stick. That's disgusting.
Yeah, we didn't get it in the movie. They did it through the game that I'll never play in my life because I don't care about that. I'm not 14.
And it's like, literally, you couldn't have included that in this bloated crap of a movie. You put it in the crawl. The dead speak. Sucked. Palpatine's back, by the way. He's just back. And then later they even put in the movie, like, oh, it was just Palpatine. He was pulling the strings behind this the whole time. And I was like, hey, that is what I've been saying. I've been ranting about this. You've been there. I've been saying the marketing and everything for Snoke was that he was not anything to do with Palpatine. He's outside of this. He's away from this. He's like this dark side user that has nothing to do with them. There's a scene in this movie where they just show a vat full of pickled Snokes that were failed attempts. And I was like, I guess that's what all these Sith disciples are eating on this dead planet of nothing, of whatever. What is happening in any of this movie? It's like light speed to here. We got to get this MacGuffin to light speed to there. Deus Ex Machina. Chewie's not really dead. There was a second transport. Light speed to here. Oh, look, C-3PO's dead now. Oh, but he's not. Light speed to here. And now that planet's destroyed. But guess what? The one strong woman that we met there, she's alive now. And she said, boom, Lando's back. And he brought apparently 1 million ships with him because he had time to do that, which they couldn't do in The Last Jedi because Palpatine shoots lightning and disables every ship in the fleet, but he's not smart enough to stop shooting lightning.
It's you're going too quick, man. Let's try to break it down. Let's try to break it down.
No, one of the most important things in this entire movie is like at the end when Palpatine, okay, it's all about him, right? He's been the one pulling the strings. It's been his entire manipulation from the beginning, apparently. If that's true, why did you have the First Order do anything? Doesn't that just draw attention to you and your fleet of Star Destroyers that have laser death cannons? If you had that, also, why are they in ice? Did you build them in why? What? And what? Why did you have Starkiller Base ever be revealed? What? Hey, that just reveals you to the word.
Let's even go back. let's even go back and say, why would the Emperor put out a message if he wanted to be hidden?
And,
why wouldn't he just...
Well, that was his threat to
it.
the last thing, I guess. Like that, I don't really care so much about. But like, also the fact that this thing is in this red mist, and you every time you see someone going through it, they're like dodging around. I was like, how is a Star Destroyer going to go through that?
Not.
How did any of those larger ships get through that? If those are actually, sometimes they're just, I was like, does it matter? Does it matter when you hit that tendrily stuff? It didn't seem to.
Vase, first and foremost, I'd like to say that I was sitting next to
the Wayfinder was a Sith holocron, but they were like, it's a Wayfinder. It's how you find the way. That's dumb as.
I'd like to say I was sitting next to a mother and her son during the movie, so it was a very hard time keeping my mouth shut because I did not want to offend them, because the lady at least seemed like she was having a good time. The son seemed like he was probably about 13, and he seemed like, I don't know, he might not be enjoying the movie. The theater was silent throughout pretty much the whole film. I heard one applause. I don't even remember what it was. It's very early in the movie, I think, before people decided that they were being deceived by this. And so I just had to bite my lips so hard throughout the whole movie. I thought I was going to fall off. I thought my tongue was going to fall out. And I had no good times during seeing this. The scene that you brought up just a second ago was one of my biggest complaints with this movie, is when they showed Chewie getting blown up on that ship.
That was such bullshit.
Let me tell you the problem I have with this is the next scene, they show him alive. And then the next scene after that, they showed the characters mourning Chewie. As a filmmaker, as someone who studies film, why would you show him still being alive and not have the characters mourn before you show him alive, and kind of giving that more impact? That frustrated me to no end.
Well, because it's for the audience, so that they know that
it destroyed any emotion, just like how breakneck speed this entire movie is. You have no chance to even hang on to anything, so you're already thrown into the next scene.
And it's so stupid, because why were they in that desert? It's like, well, Luke came here. Luke was on a search for this thing. He was on this search. When was that? Was that before or after he fucked off to Crate? And why did he fuck off to Crate? They're literally like, yeah, Lando shows was like, yeah, Luke was here and he was looking for this ship. And they're like, oh, okay. Yeah. And they're like, where's the ship? And he's like, oh, we found it. It's in the desert. And I'm like, are you going to explain that? So Luke found the ship and then was like, well, I give up. They never explain why he gave up or what happened there. Nothing's really explained about Ben's. Apparently, in a comic, they're retconning like Ben destroying the Jedi Temple or something like that. Like, there's all kinds of damage control going on for this cockamamie bullcrap.
Oh God, I have so much going on. Like you're saying so much, just sparking so many synapses in my brainicles.
Well, what was okay? No, let me get back to what I was saying, because Palpatine's overall plan, right? Oh, this is your overall plan. You've got all these things. Why did you do any of the stuff for the last two movies? Why did any of that even happen? Why? Because it even said he didn't know about their like special unity bond or whatever. Which, okay, wasn't that supposedly something Snoke did to them? So if Snoke did that to them, but now it's not. No, not in this movie. Not in this movie. In this movie, it's some natural bond. It's just something that exists. Oh, you're a duality in the. Oh, I haven't seen this for generations. So suddenly his plan that for generations was to corrupt her or get her to get. He's just like in a snap moment. He's like, oh, well, now I'll just bring myself back to life. His motivation changed in a heartbeat. His 30 years of resurrecting himself just so he could get her, it was just like, oh, never mind, I'll just bring myself back to life. He never should have been all that bull. And then 5 minutes, okay, what was his big thing? Strike me down with your lightsaber, and then you will be a Sith. And then 5 minutes later, she strikes him down with the lightsaber. And I'm just like, so, like you just did.
Dude, this is the worst piece of shit film I've ever seen in my life. It's worse than The Last Jedi. I swear it is. And I hate The Last Jedi. I'm not even getting The Last Jedi props. I hate The Last Jedi. I put them both in the bottom of the toilet.
I can't give this one as much crap as The Last Jedi, because there is character progression in Rey for the first time ever. For the first time, we see her like fail. She loses a fight or comes close to it at least. She asks advice from like Luke. She needs some guidance. But look, that's all just to make up for the fact that they haven't done it.
Luke who fucking flip-flops, and whenever he's like throwing the lightsaber behind his back in the last movie, and this time he's like, don't respect this. Or
well, that's another deliberate.
Like, fuck you, Luke. Like, No, I don't mean that. Fuck you, Luke, to Luke Skywalker. I mean Disney Luke.
Well, that's another one of the deliberate retcons. Oh, Kylo's helmet. The first thing you do is put it back together. The lightsaber that was broken. The lightsaber that was broken in the last episode. They don't even show it being put back together. They don't even show a seam on it. It is just perfect. That thing was blasted apart.
Face. Let me tell you this, man.
Was covering up.
Let me go. I have a good point here. I have a really good point. After Rey defeated Palpatine, right? I was thinking, and while I was seeing in the movie, I was thinking, well, I thought a Jedi's training wasn't complete until they make their own lightsaber. She makes it after she does all of that. And then she buries Anakin's lightsaber in the sand.
In the sand. With Leia's.
In the sand. And she takes she takes
and then
she
says, my name's Skywalker. It's like okay, so you took the Millennium Falcon, you took Chewie. She has BB-8 in the end. That was Poe's robot in the beginning. Now she has BB-8. She takes Luke's X-Wing. What? She takes the lightsabers. What doesn't she now own? There's nothing that she doesn't now own.
The excuse for Luke not going to create himself in the last movie is that the X-Wing didn't work anymore.
Because the wing was literally broken off in the water when they were out. This one, it's totally fine.
Yeah. Why?
Because they're retconning as much as they can from that last. They're the only things they didn't like literally about face on was stuff they couldn't like, and that's why they had to bring Palpatine back because they killed Snoke and they couldn't reasonably say. Actually, I could have written them around that. If force projection is a thing, make that a force projection, and that was Snoke testing Kylo to make sure that he was actually going to betray him, and then still have Snoke be the big bad. That's way better than bringing Palpatine back to try and tie it all together just because you're trying to guilt people into seeing this movie and calling it The Rise of Skywalker. It is not The Rise of Skywalker. The Rise of Skywalker was literally The Return of the Jedi. Well, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That's what this, but the real Rise of Skywalker was the redemption of Anakin Skywalker and the, rise of Luke Skywalker to Jedi Master upon the defeat of Palpatine, all of which was undid in these last two movies. They're just tossed out the window, especially with the Death Star, all the ruins of the Death Star. Hey, look at this. I watched the explosion. It's vaporized. There's little like particles, not like a giant. I know. Like a giant.
Everything was on fire.
And then it would have to fall through atmosphere and slam into the planet. And then she goes inside. And there's stormtrooper outfits just sitting around. I was like, that was 30 years ago. And these people can say, they even said, oh, we can get there. We've gone there before. And the place isn't like totally stripped or looted or anything. It's just nonsensical.
Dude, it's so stupid. The whole movie is so stupid. I hate this movie with every fiber in my being. Let's talk about how C-3PO had to erase his mind.
Toss him to the wolves. They do not give a crap about him.
Look,
and then he goes, I need to look at my friends one last time. I was like, they just didn't give a shit about you. You just said they did.
Base, no. How about whenever they were like, well, can't you back up his memory? And they're like, well, R2-D2's memory isn't that reliable. And then like half hour later, it's like, oh, it's fine. It's fine. Like there was no issue with that.
That's the same thing they did with Chewie. That's the same. Hey, look, here's some stakes. Just kidding. There aren't any stakes. Who the only person that died is that one like fatter dude that like sometimes said some things. You know what I mean? The black haired guy. He blew up I guess, yeah. He's in like some of the novels.
I hated him. He didn't look like he was even a Star Wars character.
No, he certainly didn't look like a fighter pilot.
And the only reason he was in the movies is because he was J.J. Abrams' lifelong friend. He's a terrible actor. And that scene where he's talking to Leia, and Leia goes, "Can't you be a little bit more optimistic?" That was supposed to be for Han. They took that from the old cuts from Force Awakens and applied it to him instead of Han Solo. And he's like, all right, I'll try to be more optimistic or whatever.
He said something really
meant for Han Solo. Yeah. That was meant for Han Solo. And a lot of the stuff with Leia I thought was really good, but a lot of the voice things I thought were very obvious that it wasn't her. I felt like it was someone replicating her voice. Damn, this movie sucked, dude. It was probably the worst movie I've ever seen in my life.
How about those Knights of Ren?
Oh, you mean the people who
The
make
suck
no
of
sense,
suck.
don't matter.
The people who use medieval weaponry in like future times, the people whose medieval weaponry, when they actually hit Kylo Ren in the face with it, with like a mace, he gets like a bloody nose. I'm like, what do you guys
Also,
even do?
I mean, Kylo Ren fell down a cave, and then a precipice, and he still comes back like he only fell like 3 feet.
He staggers. He's like, oh, and then he heals Rey. Now Rey, who's been shown this entire time, she heals the sandworm. Remember that? It's like
let's get into force healing. All right, let's get into force healing. Now we're talking about.
Well, that exists. I'm not mad necessarily about that, but the way it's done in this is like way over the top. And the way she describes it. Now, like, when have we ever seen her like actually work for anything? She trains a little in this movie, great, but we see her levitating and floating those rocks around like she's some centered and balanced person when all she ever does is like scream and yell at people. Like, are you kidding me? And that was one of the main things with like Luke, was that like when he couldn't find his balance, he lost control and things would start to fall. She does that kind of shit all the time, but she only gets stronger. That's like the dark side of anything. And then she's like, oh, well, at the end, I'll just decide to be good and whoop-de-doo. But then her sacrifice means nothing because Ben comes around and heals her. Now she heals 2 different people. She heals Ben. Yeah. She heals Ben from a life-threatening wound, right? Does that even
after she did it?
Yeah, after she did it. And then, but that doesn't take any strength from her, does it? Like, you don't see her at any point when she does that to someone else, like the worm or anything. Does she go or anything like that, or does she show it? She's just like, no. Literally, after she does it to the sandworm, and someone's like, "How did you just do that?" You know what she says? She's like, she goes. What she says is she just was like, oh, I just gave some life energy for me to it, or something as stupid as that, and everyone's just supposed to be like, oh, yeah, why are we all just doing that?
Let's go back to how stupid the sandworm scene is.
But then, hold on.
At Burning Man, they fall through a sand trap, and then they land right where the dagger is and a worm is that they have to heal with the Force. It's so stupid and just written for the plot.
Here's my question. If you're falling into sand, and then you fall into a tunnel.
Yeah, all the sand would get down.
How did the sand, how is that not falling? How was there a roof?
Yeah, there wouldn't be. Yeah.
Who cares? Like, but then the
sandworm. That same thing happened in Aquaman, though.
It also really pissed me off that she handed off the lightsaber to Finn again. When she goes to heal the worm, she like just hands it off to Finn. I'm like, hey, are you
That's cool. What? I was hoping he'd stab someone in the face with it.
That, I mean, he should be a cyborg anyway. He got his spine ripped open by a lightsaber. Like this whole,
he should be going click clack 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 clack.
Yes, and there should be whole themes about like his humanity and how much he has left now that he's like a cybernetic thing, because that's a huge theme in Star Wars, and how much is man and how much is machine, and is there any redemption from that kind of thing? But they threw all of that out the window for a Bubble Boy joke and a cut scene where they were like, here, I patched up your coat from where the lightsaber split it open. You're lucky to be alive, I guess.
Hey, Vase, no one lost a limb in this trilogy. No one. And that's like a thing that happens in Star Wars. Everyone loses a limb. Every movie. I think. Oh,
that's gross.
What is?
What you just said. I'm trying to make sure it's true.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that no one loses a limb.
No, it's true. It is true. It's 100% true. People get like sliced with a lightsaber, and they just have a minor scar, like you just got scraped with like a piece of cardboard. But yeah, it's not like a lightsaber would do your face or your back or your spine or dude. No, did you see the scene? Did you see when Kylo and Rey are fighting on top of the Death Star with all the waves? Did you see when Rey gets hit in the hand and she just shakes it off?
I wasn't sure what happened there. I wasn't. She got.
That was a different.
I thought it was like I thought it was like they hit really hard, or like she had a bad hit.
Well, but I think the reference is like she just shakes it off and she still has it. I think that's what they were going for. Is like, yeah, we're not gonna cut it off. We're just gonna have her shake it off.
What about the scene? What about the scene with Han?
Pissed me off so bad, and Han Solo is my favorite character of all time in Star Wars. I hated that scene. I hated everything about it. I don't think he should have been in the movie, especially after the way they treated him in The Force Awakens, and made him like a piece of shit after he did so many good things. for the rebellion and just abandoned his child and shit. Like, fuck that. Fuck this whole trilogy. Han Solo, he had his arc. He became a good guy, responsible guy.
Yep. And then
now
they had to retcon that to make their new characters look good, just like they retcon Luke being a Jedi Master to make their new characters look good, just like they, you know. And then, but because we're like going to be saviors and heroes in this movie, we'll give Chewie the medal that he never got in the original. Well, look, we're correcting the mistakes of the originals by now giving Chewie a medal. It's like
Vase, let me tell you this. That was the only scene I got emotional at in the whole movie. Not even the one where Leia died and he cried. I didn't even get emotional at that because I was like, Chewie should be like, "Fuck you, Leia."
Oh, by the way,
look at me when you walked off, or Rey walked off the ship.
Leia's death is ripped kind of right out of the expanded universe. When Ben Skywalker, his mother is Mara Jade, married to Luke Skywalker. And then the son, one of the sons of Han Solo is Jason Solo. He turns to the dark side and he kills Mara Jade. She leaves her body, her physical form, and everyone's wondering why she doesn't fade into the Force. And then at her funeral, as soon as Jason actually shows up to the funeral, that's when she disappears into the Force because she leaves it as a clue to the others that like that's who killed her. Leia in this one doesn't disappear into the Force until Ben dies because she was like, I was waiting for him, like da 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 da. But it's like, dude, why did Ben even have to die?
Exactly, and also, why did not Rey fade into the Force when she died?
I wish she had just gone away.
Yeah, same here.
And then Ben can live on, and it can be, and then that would.
Yes.
You know how much people would lose their minds. The Reylos and the people like that, they would explode.
Besides the scenes with Lando, my favorite scenes in the movie was when Ben Solo was fighting the Knights of Ren. He had some really awesome scenes in there when he was fighting that really, I thought it was cool when he had the blue lightsaber and stuff. I do think that was cool. He did this huge jump over this guy and like sliced him up and stuff. I thought that was cool.
The lightsaber choreography overall, though, I would say is terrible. The way they keep switching to the backhand stuff, and I'm just like...
I just meant that one scene where Ben was fighting the Knights of Ren. Dude, I'm just trying to give any kind of credit to this movie right now. I hate it. It's a 1 out of 10. But I like that 5 seconds where he jumped over a guy and sliced him. I thought that was kind of cool. And I like the Lando scenes. And also like Zori Bliss, besides her turn of character really quick. I like that character.
When they landed
that's all I like.
When they landed the troops on that Star Destroyer and they started running out and started fighting, I was like, okay, well, this is an easy fix. And then then the First Order or the Final Order or whatever lands their own troops on the side of the thing. I was like, okay, which brilliant military commander didn't just tip that ship on its side and not just drop them? There's still gravity. Tip it on the side.
Oh, yeah,
all the horses fall off. What brilliant military mind can't figure out that your starship can do anything you want it to? You don't.
How hard did you laugh when you saw Rose running along the top of that Star Destroyer with a fucking rifle? Yeah, Rose is gonna fucking do that.
I wish they had killed her.
Oh yeah.
It was so great that when Finn's like, "I'm gonna make a sacrifice," and she's like, "Should I go stop him again?" He's like, "Stay back." Just
I believe
get out of here.
Maybe I meant to put it in my Hoff Zero video, but I didn't. I meant to have Rose die of a heartbreak from the space horses getting killed, so I didn't. I don't think I put that in there.
She's what a waste of a character. I always said it's like if you
no, the character should never been made.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
There shouldn't have been a character at all, not a waste. I feel like Han Solo is a waste of character, and Luke Skywalker is a waste of character. I feel like Rose just shouldn't exist.
Well, I always say that it's like the guy in Empire Strikes Back that when Han Solo is about to leave, and the guy's like, "Your tauntaun will freeze before you reach the reverse marker," and Han Solo goes, "Well, I'll see you in hell." If instead that guy tased Han Solo and then had a useless side adventure with him that just stretched the plot out another half hour and didn't add anything, I was like, that's Rose Tico. That's
the best fucking comparison I've ever heard. Is that right there?
I've got to go save my friend. I'm going to tase you, and I'm going to teach you about child slavery. I was a child slave. What are you doing?
That is the best comparison I've ever heard. So, what did you like about this? You said you were going to start with that. We're a half hour in. What did you like?
Well, I mean, the character, the attempt. That's why I say this should have been 2 movies, and like you got to get rid of the Last Jedi entirely. The fact that they didn't do that causes so much problem in this because they that's what you needed to do. If you want to correct the mistakes, you actually have to correct them by like addressing them head on, not just oh, a Holden maneuvers a 1 in a million thing. All right, forget about it. We can't. Yeah, no, it's not a thing that you can ever do, as evidenced by your light speed skipping in the beginning of this movie. Okay, that alone just goes to show like that there's full crap. And that's like I watched this with a friend of mine and he wanted to like it, I know, but when we walked out of the theater, he was like, if I never hear the words light speed skipping again, that would just be fantastic because that's just it was bullcrap so that they could jam 7 different planets or like action scenes into a 5-second thing, and it's something that you would expect on maybe like a serial, like a show. It's a cheap crap so that they could like make it seem faster paced. It's something that shouldn't even be an option, and it was stupid. And the TIE fighters were following them. How? If you're randomly light speed jumping, how are they following you? And I know they said light speed trackers exist now, but like I thought they had to be on a freaking thing. Like all the convoluted bullcrap.
I heard was that if the TIE fighters were close enough, they could work with them if they're in the wake of.
Well, how do you do that? I mean, that just sounds like a
theory. I don't know.
That's just a theory someone made up. And TIE fighters have never had hyperspeed before.
No, they haven't.
So
they're twin ion engines. That's
even during the First Order, they haven't. Until apparently now they do. Who cares? We're moving. Hey, now we're on this. Okay, now we're over here. Oh, the thing just crashed. And now we're talking to Ray. Ray's upset. Hey, what happened to BB-8? Hey, what happened to the Falcon? Compressor. We gotta go. We got 16 hours. All right, let's go here. Okay, we gotta go here. We gotta get this thing. Wait, how do we get that thing? We gotta go over here to get this thing to find the other thing. So if we find that thing, then we can find the other thing. Okay, we found the one thing, but now, I can't. We gotta translate this thing. Oh, he can do that, but he can't do that. The only way we can do that if we go over here and do this thing. If we go and do that thing, then we can go do the other thing. If we do the other thing, we can go do the other thing. It is a mindless video game quest hopper like
I feel like
crap.
I have a point no one else is bringing up here. The fact that Dio droid, the hair dryer on a wheel.
Yeah, the useless.
His only purpose was to tell him about Exegol, the planet Palpatine lived on. Why did they need the dagger if they already had
no.
about that planet? Why they need to do all of those things.
I'll tell you. First of all, because of the massive reshoots and this movie has like we know 3 different versions of it. Okay, so like so much of this was left on the cutting room floor. Who knows how this got hodgepodge together? But also, you want to know why else that droid was in this movie? So Ray could be like, someone mistreated you. Hey, you're the same bitch that blew up an entire transport full of people. And you thought Chewie was on it. And the only reason he wasn't was plot convenience. Okay? She literally
threw lightning in the sky and was blowing shit up. And
she did kill a bunch of innocent people there.
Worst movie ever made. I swear to God, this is the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life. It's worse than Last Jedi. And I will say that. And
the whole another thing was one of the whole points of The Last Jedi was supposed to be like it can be anyone, which by the way was always a point in Star Wars. That's why he started out as a farm boy and then went up to be. It just happened to be that he was from a great lineage. But the point is, like, anyone has power within them. What do you do with your power? Those are the lessons that are being taught that anyone can be able to relate with. Yes, it's symbolic. It's a metaphor. You're supposed to. You can relate to the main character in this way. You can relate to the allies and the enemies in this way. You're aware of them. They relate to other things, but they are not exactly other things in our everyday life. They're symbols for things. They're generalized. Not like in this crap where there's the Last Jedi. The Last Jedi is the real. Now, I don't even know what they could have done. Because JJ, he could have easily messed this up. But at least if they had an overall arc, who knows? Who knows?
I blame them all. I don't give anyone credit. I think JJ, I will say this to backtrack hypocritically. I'll say JJ did his best with trying to be neutral, but it was like... it was not good, though. Like, I felt like he was trying to be neutral. He's trying to fix things. He was trying to wrap it up. And I'll give him credit for giving it an attempt, but
well, I also don't.
Everything was a shit show. So
I'd like to see his cut. actually, because this wasn't his cut. This was Bob Iger's cut, or like Disney's cut.
This base, there was nowhere I could see this going after The Last Jedi that would satisfy me. So I feel like.
Did you watch the Clone Wars, like the TV show?
Well, I mean, I didn't see all of them, but I've seen the majority of them.
Have you heard the rumors of Matt Smith being the son?
He was supposed to be like.
Apparently, that cut exists. Like, there's photos of him. Like, that was what they originally shot, but Bob Iger saw that and was like, "This is going to abandon like certain people. We want to get as much general audience as possible." So they went with a totally different thing. I would be interested to see if, and that's why that dagger was there in the first place. That's the dagger, from that whole storyline. But they just.
Dude,
They how this movie was made. They hodgepodged and threw things together, and Leia's not even Carrie Fisher isn't alive. This was stuff from other this was all.
Let me tell you what I would have liked to see. Honestly,
Frankenstein. This was a Frankenstein.
Oh yeah. Let me tell you what I like to see, and I'm not saying it would have been better at all. Not at all. I'm not saying it would have been better. I'm just saying I would have liked to see a different take on the movie. I wish Colin Trevorrow would have directed it. I would have liked to see just a completely different view, someone else instead of. I don't know. I don't know how.
But if I were him, I wouldn't have done it. Yeah, there's no way to do it. If you're forced into keeping The Last Jedi, there's no way to make this movie good. There's no way to do it. There's no way to do it because The Last Jedi is not the middle of a trilogy. It's its own egotistical, meta, self-indulgent, nihilistic, destructive piece of crap.
Yes, it is nihilistic very much.
Okay, it's not setting up the next movie. It's not continuing a story or anything. It's doing its own thing and being brave and bold and strong because of it. Except what you were hired to do was to make the middle movie of a trilogy and make it a blockbuster. You didn't do that. You did a bad job. And Rian Johnson can make good movie. Like, I saw Knives Out. Okay, and his style. His style works. I went with a girl though. She wanted to see it. So
all right, fair enough. I'll give you that.
I was like, I went in there wanting to hate it, and honestly, there were jokes like I expected to be like all like left wing jokes, but they were like jokes at the expense of left wing and right wing people. Like there were jokes on both sides about that. There was meta stuff. Here's the thing: he works like meta and meta humor can work in film. It definitely can. I like it. I don't like it in a Star Wars saga episode. It doesn't make sense. You can't make meta jokes a long time ago and far, far away. It doesn't work there.
I don't think Rian Johnson's an idiot by any means. I think he's a pretty smart guy, actually. But I think he's the wrong kind of attitude about a lot of things.
Well, that's what I was saying.
I don't think he's really stupid. I think he just, like...
No, he's terrible to make us. He's a postmodernist. He's terrible to make a Star Wars movie.
Yes, exactly.
He's a terrible choice for that. Because he doesn't want to do the hero shit. He wants to do something like experimental and crazy. He's like, here's the thing. That's not what a saga episode is supposed to be. They should have given him one of the standalone films, like something that branches off and does its own thing. That's where that should have been done.
And I wouldn't hate him now.
Not during the saga episodes. Then I could be like, yeah, this is a spin-off. It should be different than the saga stuff. But the saga stuff should be like the saga stuff because it's a saga. Is it not the saga? Is it not a continuing saga? If you suddenly, in episode 7 and you go to episode 8, and episode 8's just throwing random stuff all over the place and doing stuff you've never seen before, you're not continuing the saga. You're doing something else. And then what? You're supposed to just finish up the whole thing in the next episode?
Really quick. Hey, buddy, take a breath. I want to say, I want you to take a breath, and I want to say that I'm enjoying every second that you're speaking because, I've been waiting for your response on this for days now.
Did you see when she lit up her lightsaber? It was like multiple different colors inside, and then it turned out like orange.
I didn't see that. No, I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
It was like right where she twisted it because her switch is apparently a twist switch. And what the hell was up with her burying Luke and Leia's lightsabers? Like, why would you do that?
Buried him in the sand. No, not loose. Anakin's in the sand.
Right. What happened to Luke?
Anakin,
who knows? All right.
You know how much Anakin loves sand.
He doesn't though.
Exactly. That's why he got buried there.
On Tatooine. Place where his mother was raped and killed by
Tusken Raiders,
where Luke's aunt and uncle were put to death by his father at the time. But
let me tell you what. If I was in Star Wars, I'd love to live at Naboo, man. That's the place. It's nice, quiet. It's got some beautiful scenery. Naboo's the place to be.
Cloud City, not bad.
Galaxy's not bad either. I feel like I'd be claustrophobic there, though.
I always be worried about
Which
like something going wrong.
They did show in this movie. They showed it in this movie.
Yeah, it's stupid. It was part of this nostalgia bait. Here's another question. Okay. At the end, the Emperor gets defeated and like all the ships start blowing up. And then like they show all around the galaxy, not just where they are on Exegol, all those ships, but then all the First Order ships around the galaxy are exploding. And I'm like, why are those? Why are those exploding now? You just killed Palpatine. I don't get why around the entire galaxy, in Bespin, on Coruscant, why are the ships there exploding? No one did anything. All the ships are in Exegol. We saw why are the ships all around the galaxy exploding?
You're breaking something right now, by the way. I haven't heard this before. I have not heard this. You're breaking this right now.
I was sitting in the theater, and I'm like, what happened? Is this Independence Day? Did they shoot a nuke into the mothership and like now all over the world they're going down? Da, da, da. Why though?
All of the generals on the ships are like, we've lost contact. I don't know.
They're all exploding. They're like smoking and going down in flames all over the galaxy, all over the place. All right, self-destruct. Palpatine's dead.
Worst movie ever seen.
Because we've got to make it an ending. This actually has to be the ending. We can't leave a lot of loose ends, like in Return of the Jedi, where they left all those loose ends.
Speaking of Return of the Jedi and endings, they show the fucking Ewoks in this movie.
Yeah, just as another little bit of nostalgia bait for another one of those, things going down in flames at a place where no one was attacking it. At a place where no one was attacking it.
You know what else
Endor is not Exegol. Endor doesn't have any defenses. They have literally abandoned stormtroopers that are riding space horses and using bows and arrows. Who shot down the Star Destroyer that was there? Why was a Star Destroyer that? Because we needed a shot of some Ewoks looking at something going down so we could make people think of Return of the Jedi, so we can make people think this is a good movie.
Make people think this is a good movie.
It worked on a lot of people.
I don't. It's the worst movie I've ever seen.
I've seen a lot of people online talking about how much this is great and like, oh, it's fan service, but it's great fan service. And I was like, how long have you been a fan? What are you a fan of?
It does some check marks on some boxes, but besides that, it doesn't deliver.
Lightsaber fights in the prequels were better, and I understand that maybe these people weren't as like well trained as the old Jedi Order and stuff like that. But if they weren't that well trained, then why did they keep switching to like backhand grips and doing crazy, ridiculous stuff? If you don't know how to fight like this, stop switching to like this nonsense. What is that? Stop it.
Okay, Ace, 1,000 years of Jedi Order, none of them knew how to do Force heal until Rey or Baby Yoda.
Well,
and then, like,
in
Revenge
of the Sith, in Revenge of the Sith and in A New Hope, Palpatine does to Anakin on the sand the exact same thing that Obi-Wan does to Luke when he's knocked unconscious by. Now it's not like they show a wound close or anything like that, but they both put their hand like right here on their head and kind of like heal them.
Okay, you want to get into Force Ghosts?
Not nearly, no, because they ruined Force Ghosts. And they ruined the Force. The Force is no longer this subtle or interesting or restricted thing. Now, all of a sudden, it's, here, I'll shoot lightning bolts and take down an entire freaking... No, the reason
but not really take them down. Just kind of mess them
for
up
a minute until
not really take them
the
down.
Lightsaber. They should have just taken them down.
Force Ghosts. Let's talk about Force Ghosts. All right, Luke Skywalker, Force Ghost. He catches the lightsaber they threw off the fucking cliff in the last movie. He catches it. Why doesn't he just teleport himself to Palpatine and use that lightsaber to kill Palpatine? Because he's already dead. He can't die. He's already dead. Why wouldn't he just use that physical object as a ghost to go and kill him? Now in this universe where we can lift X-Wings out of swamps that are perfectly fine, they've been sitting there for years, and have lightsabers that Force Ghosts can use, why wouldn't the other Force Ghosts show up? Why wouldn't this happen if you've established this in this film? Why wouldn't it happen?
Because Rey has to be the one that does it.
In the worst manner ever. She does a cross. She does a cross with lightsabers that don't belong to her.
Which you
that
don't
she
even
didn't
need.
build.
You don't even need to do
And
that to reflect Force lightning back. We know this from Mace Windu literally doing it with one.
it's the worst fucking movie I've ever seen. Worst
And
movie I've
again,
ever seen in my life.
her killing him right there, and that's what happens. Like and first of all, if he used when he the first time with Mace Windu in the prequels when he gets hit by his own lightning, that was a tactic used to sway Anakin to the dark side.
To deceive, yes.
He could have beaten Mace Windu whenever he wanted.
Yes, easily. That's
So-
why he said unlimited power.
Yeah, and then starts going again and doesn't give it. That was all part of his plan.
It was all a setup. Yes.
So he could have Anakin. And in this one, he's just like, I'm just going to keep shooting lightning and kill myself. And also, 5 minutes before that, again, he goes, if you strike me down, you'll be evil. Then 5 minutes later, she's like, wah! And then he gets struck down. And it's like, well, that's okay now because she first said no. She said no once. And that's what you have to say no once, but then you can do whatever you want.
This fucking movie is the worst movie I've ever seen, ever. I swear to God, it's the worst movie I've ever seen. It's worse Last Jedi.
But at least we found the Sith holocron. Wayfinder, and then we got to the dagger of Mortis. The Sith dagger, and then we, found some characters that probably had more time in different cuts. But we literally, that one chick doesn't even take off her helmet. Also,
Zori Bliss. I love Zori Bliss.
Okay, well, let me tell you, that scene when they first meet her, Poe is like looking around and he sees he looks on this side and they're searching houses. He looks on that side, they're searching houses, they're walking down the street, they're everywhere. They go around, then his little group goes around a corner, they get attacked by that chick. That fight ends with Rey whipping out her lightsaber and pointing it at her in the middle of the street. And I'm just like, lightsabers are loud. There's troops everywhere. Nobody's noticing this. And what happens is the strong woman character gets up and goes, I like you, Mary Sue. For no reason. You just beat the crap out of me and threatened to kill me, but I like you, Mary Sue.
What I want to say about the Zori Bliss is, first of all, I hated that scene. But second of all, I felt like she was a much better character from a much better movie that got thrown in here. Probably cut out a lot of stuff from her. But Zori Bliss is my favorite new character, hands down. Like, I thought she had a lot of potential. She had a lot of charisma, man. I thought she was a badass. And I really like that character. I really do. She had a Rocketeer. You remember the Rocketeer from the early 90s? She had that same helmet. Kind of a ripoff, but I still liked it. I liked her character, dude. She didn't feel like she fit in with the movie, though.
No, her character didn't make any sense. She attacks Poe because she's mad at him, but then she gets beat. But then she gets beat by Rey, and immediately was like, "I like you, even though you just beat me."
In a moment, in a snap of a finger.
But then after a little bit, she's like, "Hey, you're not part of the crew anymore." And then she's like, all right, well, now you can use my droid. And she's like, I got this Imperial thing. It's the only way I can achieve my dreams. And even though you betrayed me, now I'm just randomly going to give it to you so you can save the day, I guess, even though I don't believe in that. And then later the city gets destroyed, but she's not there, even though she gave away her only ticket off the planet. So
I just
you made it.
It's written poorly, but I like the character. I do like the character, Zori Bliss. I do like that character a lot.
Yeah. The whole movie.
I feel like that the actress did. I feel like it was Carrie Russell.
Yep.
She did a really good job for not being in the first two movies and knowing the weight of what she had to do in this movie. She's kind of like, I can kind of be myself in this one and do whatever I want. And I like that. It's refreshing.
I don't think there was enough of her in the movie to.
I agree, and that's
give a crap.
my problem. I would have liked to see more of her. I really like that character, though. I think that was definitely my favorite character.
I think
a new character in the movie.
I think the entire group of stormtroopers that defected or whatever. Like, what the hell was that? There was just.
And why is Finn still killing stormtroopers if he's still
left and right? Yeah, he knows that they're mine, but he's just like, whoa! And he's still mostly his role is still just running around screaming people's names. Usually Rey. Rey! Rey! They got Chewie! Rey! Like, that's all he's done for 3 movies. And then in this one, he's like, the Force brought me here. A feeling.
Dude,
they're trying to make him like Force sensitive, but not actually have him be a Jedi. And it's like, hey.
They're like, how do you know that signal's on that ship? He goes, I have a feeling. No, what the? No, that's not how it works. You need a real reason. You can't just
that's
have
not how the Force works.
That's not how the Force works. You can't just say.
Ago.
this movie is the biggest pile of shit I've ever seen in my life, dude. It's the worst movie ever. I'd rather watch The Last Jedi. Seriously,
I wouldn't.
I would.
Because then I have to watch. When was the last time you watched The Last
Jedi? No credit to The Last Jedi. Me?
Yeah.
I watched it just earlier this week. I watched Force Awakens on Tuesday.
Dude, how can you stand it when Luke is walking around bad-mouthing Obi-Wan Kenobi? When he's like, Darth Vader was trained by a Jedi. And I'm just like, you were trained by that same Jedi, you piece of shit. Like, they.
By the way, when I say I watched the movie, I meant it was on my TV. Doesn't mean I sat there and stared at it for 2.5 hours. Like,
do that sometime.
No,
it's offensive.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Slow and meandering and bad. Like, this one was bloated and too long. That one, at least this one was fast paced. That one's like, hey, now we rejoin our slow speed.
I'm not defending The Last Jedi. I'm not defending The Last Jedi. I'm not.
Better not be. No, I'm just kidding.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that
I've seen people try.
Let me give you my response on this. Hear me out here. Last Jedi kind of followed a plot line, at least a little bit, and still just subverted expectations. This one just solidified everything. You know what I mean? Like, this is the end, and they fucked it up, and everything sucked, and there was nothing good about it.
This isn't. 6 was the end. This is the Disney.
Oh yeah.
This is
watching.
Yeah. Here's what's going to happen, and then hopefully, in my dreams, this happens, is that they say, okay, now we're adding the Disney trilogy to Legends, and we're just going to pretend that didn't happen.
Keep dreaming, boy.
The next place they're going to go is the Old Republic, so get ready for that.
I'm good, man. I'm good on all of this. Let's have Jon Favreau or whatever, Filoni.
Dave Filoni.
Pretty good on all this.
Mandalorian's
just want to enjoy. Yeah, Mandalorian's good so far. They did introduce Force healing through the Mandalorian, which I thought was a cheap move, even though I love that series.
That's why that episode was on Wednesday.
Yep.
Yeah, leading into it. Yeah,
they had this all planned. Yeah. You realize they had this all planned.
Well, that was I saw that coming since whatever episode Baby Yoda first tried to heal Mandalorian. I think it was like episode 2 or 3 or something like that. And he like keeps trying to reach him. I think it was 2. And like tries to heal him, but he doesn't get the chance to. And I was like, okay, so they're bringing Force healing into this. And I was like, that combined with some of the leaks that we were hearing at the time lent credence to the fact that like, yep, they're introducing it here so that we can have Force healing as a thing and people won't be as upset by it. I think
I didn't like the way that it was. Okay, let's talk about this real quick. Force powers take time to learn, right?
Yeah,
like you can't just
dedication
do them.
Unless you're using the dark side. The dark side is the quick and easy path.
Let me ask you this. Do you think Leia was able to teach Rey these methods after being trained by Luke in her older age? And Luke was already too old to learn the Force. You know what I mean? Like, according to Ben? I mean, I know he wasn't. He wasn't because
that was part of a test, and that was what Yoda said that when he said he's too old, right. And that was part of a test of Luke's character at that point.
Obi-Wan was telling him to, and then Yoda was like, "Yeah, it's too old."
And Yoda was going to train him anyway. That was a test of how Luke would respond to that question.
But still, that's still a point of discussion.
No, she's grabbing ships out of the sky. Luke couldn't raise his X-wing out of the swamp, and he had been training for how long? And she's just like grabbing things out of it. She's doing things without even knowing how. You know what I mean? She beat Kylo Ren. Yeah, she beat Kylo Ren. Yeah, she beat Kylo Ren without ever having touched the Force before. She used the Jedi mind trick before knowing what the Force is. Then she goes and trains with Luke, and he's like, reach out, touch the Force. And she thinks a fern touching her hand is the Force. And I'm like, you've already used the Force like 4 times. How do you not know anything about it? And then she apparently trains herself because Luke refuses to train her in any way. And then she goes and kills all the guards and fights Kylo to a standstill again. And now we're in this movie, and she's levitating in the first thing. It's only been a year at this point. She's known about the Force at this point for a year.
Dude, what the?
And now she's the last Jedi and the carrier of all the Jedi, and all the Jedi live in you, thereby undoing the entire point of Luke Skywalker. That was the point of Luke Skywalker. He was the last Jedi. All of the Jedi lived in him. Yoda said, pass on what you have learned. That was his legacy. He was going to start the next Jedi school. They threw all of that in the toilet so that they could destroy his character, so that they could make their own new characters seem appealing by comparison. And by the way, that's not how you write good characters.
That's not how the Force works.
It's not how writing works. That's not how...
No, dude.
And when they talk about wanting to have strong women, it just shows how like futile they are in their attempts.
How about the gay scene? The 2-second gay scene.
That's obviously just...
I saw it when I was watching the movie. I didn't see it, but I was like, this is what you get for all of your bickering? This is what you get is a 2-second scene?
And they're still furious about it. They're like, the entire movie is a women bashing, and a male is beating on this female, and this male's attacking her, and this is psychological torture and stuff like that. I was like, hey, you realize that dude is the bad guy in this movie?
By the way, this movie,
the bad guy's being a bad guy.
By the way, this movie's not good enough or deep enough to see any of those things in it. If anyone does, you're reading
that deep
into it. This movie is shallow. This movie's shallow as hell. This movie's super shallow. It's point A, point B, point C, point D, point E in the story. Make people not mad, and then make people not happy either. It was terrible, man. It was literally my least favorite movie I've ever seen in my life. Ever. I really hated this. You know what other movie I hated that's on equal grounds? You ever seen It Follows?
No.
Okay, don't.
I don't plan to.
Good.
I wasn't planning on seeing this movie, but like a dude I've known for a long time was like, "We gotta go, man. It's the wars." And I was like, "I know that you don't follow Star Wars as closely as I do, because once upon a time I would have agreed with you, but not since The Last Jedi, certainly." And then he saw it, and after he saw it, he was pissed. So
good. Feel the anger.
He was furious. He was like, this is just all that Deuce Machina crap. And I was like, yes.
Did you have to? I mean, I may have ADHD, but you have to have like ADHD to like this, I guess.
I'm thinking of the regular people that were just like along for the ride. They're like, oh, look, special effects, explosions, lightsaber battles. That's Star Wars. That's as deep as it goes for some people. Yeah. And on that level, this movie, hey, yeah, you got it. Yep, you got all that stuff. You have all those things. Those are the same people that like The Last Jedi for that reason. They're like, what are you talking about? It was beautiful. Oh, it was amazing. Look at that throne room scene. I was like, have you ever actually looked at that throne room scene? She's like, yeah, I saw the movie. I was like, what? Like, you're the kind of person that watches a movie once and you're like, it was a good movie or it was a bad movie. I'm like, I've watched all the Star Wars movies like tons of times, except only for The Last Jedi and Solo, and now this one. And Solo I might rewatch at some point. I eventually watched it, but I was so burnt from Last Jedi and then the studio's response, the executive response, that again, why would I be investing in your product? Why would I want to? So that you could, if I don't like it, you could again blame me as if I made the movie? Call me a failure or a morally decrepit person just because I didn't like your Star Wars film? Excuse me? No.
So
they tried playing that card. It's not gonna. I don't know. I'd have to give it. I give it more than The Last Jedi because it tries to make up for the mistakes of that, even though it can't. Like I said, but I have to give it credit for trying. I have to give it credit for trying to give Rey an arc.
Dude, I think I like The Last Jedi better.
I don't know. No. I can't even get to The Last Jedi anymore.
I'm pretty sure I like. No, I'm not going to watch any of them anymore. They're both in the bottom of the toilet. Don't get me wrong. Hear me out, Bakes. Hear me out. I'm not trying to say that I like either of these movies. What I'm saying is, I think Last Jedi is more tolerable for me as a Star Wars fan.
No, I can't watch them do that to Luke. I can't watch her hit him over the head with a stick. I can't watch Yoda show up and say failure's the best teacher and hit him over the head with a stick again. Yoda hits him over the head with a stick and says failure the best teacher is. And I'm like, hey, that is the entire point of Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi is that he fails and he learns from it. He knows this lesson. You don't need to say it out loud to the freaking audience for us to figure it out. That's not how you make a movie. You show, don't tell. And you certainly don't retcon a character's growth so that you can make your own new character look good by destroying his legacy and by destroying everything about him and by making him try and kill his nephew just because he saw Force Vision, even though he saw Force Visions in Empire and learned that they
lied.
You
got me there. Okay.
I can't stand The Last Jedi. That's where they really destroy Luke.
You got me there with the whole nephew thing. Yeah, Last Jedi is equal as bad as Rise of Skywalker.
If it hadn't been for Last Jedi, then they could have done something completely different. Luke might still be alive. Like, tons of stuff could be different. Like, the actual plot that they wanted to do could have been followed through with. Rian Johnson went... Like, if we're trying to get from here to here... Like Rian Johnson was like, wow, and then JJ has to try and like guide it back to whatever they were originally even trying to do, which the original thing might even have been cringe, but at least it would have been coherent.
Vase, thank you for explaining that to me. I really agree with you now on that. Yes, Last Jedi is worse. But the thing it's hard to. The thing is, my point is, going back in my own mind with this, is The Last Jedi created Rise of Skywalker, and that's why it's bad. But at the same time, Rise of Skywalker is still bad, and I think it's worse than The Last Jedi. I still think it's worse. Yeah, I still think Rise of Skywalker is worse. Yeah, I'm still going with that. I'm sorry, man. I think Last Jedi is the worst sin of Star Wars, but I still think Rise of Skywalker is the worst movie. I still do. At least I felt something watching The Last Jedi. I felt some things during that movie.
Sick.
This one I just felt
not
like
a good way.
No, not at all. But at least, I don't know, man. At least I felt some things. I'm still going with my first sentiment, my first gut feeling. Last Jedi. I'd rather watch that if asked at this point in time than Rise of Skywalker. I'd rather watch Last Jedi.
I can't even get through the movie.
I can't get through either of them at this point. I'll never watch them again. I'm just saying, if I was had a gun to my head, yeah, I'd probably do Last Jedi.
The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi,
I can't stand
no.
being treated like that, and then Rey taking the Skywalker name. That's way worse than seeing the things in The Last Jedi. And Luke was bad in The Last Jedi.
Palpatine wouldn't be back if it wasn't for The Last Jedi.
I know what you're saying.
So many things for this movie had to happen because of that movie. If you don't like this movie, it's like 80% of it is because of Last Jedi stuff.
I know what you're saying.
So I hesitate to say that this movie is worse than the one that causes it to be bad. I put the blame where the blame lies.
I agree with that too, but if I had to watch one, I'd rather watch Last Jedi because I feel like
pointless argument.
No.
They're both terrible.
Exactly. I'm not really arguing with you at all. I'm just saying, if I had to watch one at gunpoint, I'd rather watch The Last Jedi.
I wouldn't, because it's also longer.
Yeah. I hate them both.
Rise of Skywalker because it's shorter.
They're literally both 1 out of 10s. There's no doubt about that. And there's no doubt that the Rise of Skywalker wouldn't have been a shit if it wasn't for The Last Jedi. I'm not arguing that, man. I agree with you on that 100%. What I'm saying is I hate the Rise of Skywalker because it solidified so many things about Star Wars in canon, Disney canon, that are way dumber than just Luke being a hermit, including Palpatine and all this other bullshit and just horrible scenes, horrible pacing, horrible writing. I think Last Jedi was more competent of a movie, but written way worse for the franchise. But I really think that Last Jedi was more competent. That's all I'm saying, man.
I respectfully disagree. And The Last Jedi is the one that set up that teleportation mind meld thing. They set that up with the wind.
I'm not arguing about which piece of shit is prettier. I'm not saying that. They're both pieces of shit. They're both terrible movies. I hate them both. Agree.
I'm thinking, yeah, this movie spells the end for like Kathleen Kennedy, basically. It's already
Good
been in the
riddance.
works, but yeah, I mean that's why like Mandalorian is Favreau and Filoni. The Obi-Wan Kenobi series is Deborah Chow, who directed 2 of the episodes of Mandalorian, 2 of the best, in my opinion. And all future projects from Kathleen Kennedy were put on hold because guess what? Her contract's coming to an end. And of course, when she leaves, they'll frame it as she's on to bigger and better things after having conquered the Star Wars universe. Woohoo! When the reality of it is, we need to get you out of here so that we can try and make back some money off of our investment, which you've been just shitting into the ground.
Yes. Base. Don't get me wrong, bro. I'm not defending The Last Jedi.
I know you're not.
I'm not. I hate that movie. I'm never watching it again. All I'm saying is I just felt like that did less damage to the franchise. I know your argument. It did more damage because it was the thing that set it up. But I don't know, man. It's a yin yang
thing. Apples and oranges. Yeah, it's like apples and it's like hey, but like where let's instead of arguing over the apples and the oranges, let's just talk to the owner of the orchard, Kathleen Kennedy. Like, what's wrong with all your apples and oranges?
What's wrong with her face, dude? She looks like she's got 18 people holding her skin back.
I can't tell you if it's like Botox or what, but every time she's supposedly excited about something, like have you seen her excited face? It's like
her eyes don't move, man.
We are so excited. We are here, and I'm
George Lucas right now, and
we are excited.
Kathleen Kennedy here, man. I look like Skeletor. I can't even do it. I got too much moisture in my face. Can't do it.
Too much life in me.
Yeah.
I'm not dead and cold inside.
No, not just looking for that bottom line. Even though I am. Vase, so what did you like? I don't think I've heard what you have liked yet, even though you wanted to point this out.
I said the visuals. The visuals are very good. Like I don't.
That's an easy one. That's an easy one.
I know, and I don't like the way that a lot of them are used. But again, a lot of the shots. So this is something I actually watch when I watch movies, and I appreciate like color theory and stuff like this. Like I watch Transformers sometimes, and I'll notice like color theory and angles of shots. Sometimes I'm like, that was good and that was good. While I can also appreciate things that were horribly bad. So like I do give them credit on the visuals. They deserve that credit. Again, some of the stuff they did to try and cancel out stuff from The Last Jedi, I liked the attempt. I appreciated the attempt.
Hey, bro, keep writing. Now go to the bathroom, all right? We'll be back in. You got this.
I just think they didn't go far enough. Again, you can't. The only way they could have correctly done this would be to completely retcon The Last Jedi and just have a new, different middle episode and do a 2-parter. Have a new middle episode, a new last episode, because all the things. And that's part of the thing that I liked. I liked the character arc of Rey. They gave her, like, she had struggles. She failed. She was going to give up. She had to, like, talk to Luke and gain inspiration and gain insight. These are all things, parts of, like, Hero's journey that she had never been through before because she was always just able to beat people or do whatever because she's a strong woman. Strong woman beats everyone. I'm strong. I don't need nobody. Don't take my hand. I'm a strong woman. Getting beat up in the desert? Nope, I'm beating them up. Whoa, we got a hyperdrive problem? Whoa, I bypassed the compressor. Whoa, we got this. Whoa, I just maneuvered the ship. I've never flown like that before. Anything ever that needed to be done, she could instantly do it. So I did like in this movie where she couldn't communicate with the Jedi Masters. I was like, holy crap, there's something she can't do. This is new. This is new for her. She's never not just been able to instantly do something. So,
bro, I just had an epiphany. What?
Are you sure it wasn't a epiphany?
Well, yeah, that tue. Yeah, I rushed back because I could hear everything. That's wireless.
I knew you could. Yeah.
2019.
Future.
Oh, hoverboards. I had this epiphany, dude. What if I think they're setting this up to where Ray's gonna come back 20 years from now, Daisy Ridley, and be the mentor to the next generation. It's never gonna end.
They might. I mean, no, that's what somebody said when I saw it with my buddy. I saw it with my two friends and one of their wives.
Oh my god!
And one of them mentioned afterwards, like, well, you know why? That's why they put those two lightsabers in like the gift wrap bundle and buried it in the sand. It's like for the next.
We're in the rat's wheel, boys. We're in the rat's wheel.
Yeah, and I was like, oh Jesus, I hope not. Then why did they keep calling this the end? I was like, I tell you why they kept calling this the end, because they had no other way to market it. They had no other way to market this movie. Put asses in seats. Well, this is the end of the saga. You like Skywalker? It's the end of the Skywalker saga. And the end of the Skywalker saga is that no-name Palpatine bitch just takes the name Skywalker for herself and buries the legacy of the real Skywalkers in the sand of Tatooine.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah, let's talk about the L-15 in the room. Palpatine, how horribly he was done. I'm not saying
why did he look younger than before he died 30 years ago?
No. First of all, I loved Ian McDermott's performance. He's a great actor.
That's something I like. There's something I definitely like.
That, but he had a horrible script and story to go with. Like, I feel like he would have been awesome. He's always awesome. You can't. What he does, dude, Ian McDermott, dude, you gotta love it. I love him in Revenge of the Sith, dude. He's the best villain, man.
I thought the Sith choir, or like all those, like, I thought that was weird. Like there were two parts of me. One part of me was like, who the fuck are these people, and what do they eat on this planet? Like Snoke clones? I'm serious that
I'm so
just
confused.
Eat defective Snoke clones. But one thing I did like it's just like that they start like the chant and like the singing and stuff. I was just like, this is funny. I was like, Palpatine would probably dig this. Like,
it was really upsetting to me that you don't like see any of their faces in this movie. Like, you don't know who they are. You don't know. It reminded me of Geonosis a little bit.
It's literally They couldn't be specific on that though, because then you would actually be asking questions like, where do these people live?
Just like the Knights of Ren.
These people eat.
Like the Knights of Ren.
Why have they? What have you been? What's going on?
Dude,
but you don't have
been so badass, dude. If they've been treated properly.
Well, what was up with that dream sequence in The Force Awakens when she first touches the lightsaber? All that stuff never got explained at all.
No.
Well, they were like, oh, the ship leave. Yeah. But what about like the Knights of Ren?
Every payoff in this trilogy was not a payoff. It was terrible. At least the Falcon didn't crash like in the rumors and killed Mando and Chewie.
Well, it did once, but then they repaired it, and then
at least that didn't happen, because I think I would have. I don't know what I would have done. I don't know, dude. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm sad about that. And let's just go. I just want to go back to not thinking about Disney Star Wars, but watching these every day.
Yeah, I'm gonna go watch the originals and prequels. I like the prequels. There are parts that I cringe. I cringe at some of the love parts in like Attack of the Clones and stuff like that, but
I don't.
Some of it. Now, I also happen to think that he's doing a great job. Everyone's like, he's so wooden, and he's so terrible, and he's so this and that. I'm like, you realize that he was a slave child that didn't get any play, and then he went into a monastic group of like monks that like don't have sex or like don't believe in like physical, So when has he had time to like hit on chicks? Never.
You talking about Palpatine?
No, I'm talking about Anakin. Like why he's so ridiculous with Padme and then like jilted. Like the dialogue comes off as ridiculous.
That's what I thought we were talking about, but then you went in that realm. First of all, okay, let's get into that. I don't cringe at these scenes in these movies, the prequels, because you know why? Love has blinded me. It's because they're so beautiful.
So you're saying love has blinded you? No.
Just because you're so beautiful. No, man. There's a lot of flaws to prequels. I don't mind those scenes though, because I do think Star Wars needs that. They had them in the original trilogy with Han Solo and Leia, and even let's not even say it, but Luke and Leia.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I didn't get that at all in these new trilogies about any kind of love story at all. It was
That's
just
why I
all
really hated when they kissed. I was like, what made
yeah,
them
yeah,
fall
it
in
was
love?
terrible.
You guys have met twice, as
Terrible.
far as I know. The first time you met, he kidnapped you, strapped you to a thing, and tried to invade your mind. Then he killed your mentor, his father, in front of you. The
Yeah.
next day, you guys start having these visions, and you're like kind of into him apparently. And then at the end, you're like, "Oh, I love you."
What's
When did
movie?
that happen? When did the why? But because she's Rey and she could see into the goodness of his soul. Now, people are like, well, Luke saw into the goodness of Vader. I was like, yeah, his father. He wanted his father to have a spark of goodness in him, even if there wasn't actually one. I'm sure he wanted there to be one. What connection does Rey have to Ben other than him being the guy that killed Han Solo? None.
Dude, it's by the way, okay, let's even take it back further. Why does Rey have any say in this fight against
Apparently,
the
because
First
she's a
Order?
Palpatine.
No, before that, in The Force Awakens.
Oh, there's
like,
nothing.
Go back and like I saw this in a video, but like so I'm not gonna claim credit for it, but like Luke at least was like, he wanted to join the rebellion.
I've gotta stay.
His aunt and uncle got killed, and then he had a mentor who was a Jedi. Of course, he'd want to go into it then. But Rey, why is she so involved in this? Why does she care? She didn't know until the end.
Because the writers of the story didn't have it until
that's rhetorical.
Yeah.
Answer. Yeah. I mean, in terms
of it's terrible.
How we're actually going to deal with this. Oh my god,
it's embarrassing.
What have you ever seen?
All right.
I do have to call it in the next probably about 15 minutes if you want to wrap it up.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I'm kind of tired of even talking about this movie right now. I want to do something else now.
Same here, man.
Like I saw this really great meme. What was it? The first so it's like episode so it said it was a meme. It's like episode 7, paint by numbers. Episode 8, nihilistic deconstruction. Episode 9, who the fuck cares?
Yeah. There was so much effort put into this, though. I can tell, but they just didn't know how to do it. You know what I mean? Like,
have you watched
there was opportunity.
Have you ever heard of the YouTuber, The Critical Drinker?
Yeah, of course. The Critical Drinker. He sounds like
Scottish.
Yeah, from
this shite of a movie.
Get in my belly.
He did a breakdown of the entire plot. And there are a couple things he missed, but like overall, I just love listening to his Scottish, rage on it. And he actually tried to defend some of the things I did as well, but he was also just like, he's like, I could see where they were trying to do stuff, but he was like, ultimately, it's just, oh god. He says like this is shite so many times throughout the video.
I felt like Shadiversity. You know that channel?
I don't know.
He literally went to the theater and wrote down 35 plot holes from this movie and explains them over 45 minutes. I love that video. I watched every minute. Great video. I've been watching Shadiversity for a while. He's a good guy. Seems like he's also got a little bit of accent, so I think you'll like him. I'll see him do that. Also, Red Letter Media has done one recently about that. I was watching earlier. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot that a casual viewer would love in this movie, but if you know Star Wars, you're gonna hate this. I think, like I did anyway.
Yeah.
Literally, I think this is the worst movie. I didn't. Let me say this, Base. When I was in the theater watching this, all I wanted to do was get out of my chair and go home. That's all I wanted to do. And then I was the first person out of the theater.
Yeah.
And I kept my mouth shut because I had a woman and her son next to me.
Right.
3 chairs, and I was like, I don't want to make him mad, but at the same time, I was just biting my lip the whole time. I threw up my hands a couple times, but I never
I did that a bunch. I was like, I just kept seeing. I was like,
Let me tell you the point that I threw up my hands the most is when Luke caught the lightsaber. That was when I was like,
See, when he says the thing that he says, like I was like, I like again that you're shitting on Ryan Johnson right now. You should treat a Jedi as a weapon with more respect. That is a direct. That's meta. That's a shot at Ryan Johnson. That's a shot over the bow.
I'm not trying to score points. I'm trying to make sense of the story.
Oh, I got you.
And it doesn't make sense, you know.
No, it doesn't.
I'm not trying to score points for Ryan Johnson.
It doesn't. I understand that.
Skywalker.
I understand that, but I also understand that this movie's going to be a train wreck no matter what. You said that going in yourself. If you know it's going to be a train wreck, if you're going to, then might as well take a couple shots at the guy who caused the train to flip off into the air. I get it.
Not giving credit to Ryan Johnson at all. I hate Ryan Johnson. Ryan Roundhead Johnson, the most arrogant, egotistical.
And so if you don't like that scene in Rise of Skywalker, then it's not JJ's fault for having to put it in there. It's Ryan's fault for making that scene in the first place, necessitating this scene.
I'm not blaming. I'm saying it's shit regardless. I'm not putting blame. I'm saying it sucks either way.
Well, then I'm putting the blame on Ryan Johnson for making it necessary.
I'm not trying to blame. I'm just saying this is all shit.
I'm blaming.
I'm not trying to blame. I'm saying this is all shit. All of it's bad. Ryan Johnson's bad. J.J. Abrams bad. Kathleen Kennedy bad. It all sucks balls. I'm not trying to put blame or say anything better. And just because I said I'd rather watch The Last Jedi, that means I'd rather have a tack put in my butthole instead of the dick in my
I understand
hole in my dick. I understand that. I'm not giving credit to anyone. I'm not giving credit. I'm just saying what I'd rather do in a do or die situation. You know.
Yes.
Hate this shit. I hate all of it. I think it's insulting. I think it's spit in the face. My nuts felt like they were being twisted throughout 2.5 hours of The Rise of Skywalker.
And you paid to see it.
I did.
That's what really gets me. I never understood that. Everyone, like, I said when someone was like, do you want to go see this movie? I was like, I'm not paying for it. If you want to pay for my ticket or if you want to sneak me in some other way, but I'm not giving them my money because I know what this is going to be.
Well, no, let me give you this, man. I've been a lifelong Star Wars fan, so I've been to every premiere. I have a record going on. I have a streak. I know that's a very shallow way of doing it, but what I'm saying is I had to go. I had to be able to talk about it. I had to know what's going on. As a Star Wars fan, I had to be there.
I knew I would see it eventually, and
but no offense to anyone who does do an old Jack Sparrow or Blackbeard for it. Cheers to you. I've done it before myself, so cheers. No, I just had to go, man. I just had to. I like seeing Star Wars in theaters, even if it sucks.
I no longer feel.
Actually, I didn't. Yeah, I don't either. I agree with you.
Yeah,
it was terrible.
Yeah, I felt that way before The Last Jedi, but that one again. I know I've told you this before, but I saw that double feature, Force Awakens into Last Jedi, and it just was so ridiculous. So, and then the backlash and everything is just like, I can't. If I run the risk of not liking the movie, which sometimes you don't like not every Star Wars movie, you have a criticism or whatever. If the new thing is that if you don't like it, you're literally a bad person, then maybe I'm just not going to be as interested in your products anymore. Maybe this Star Wars really isn't my Star Wars.
I don't think even the Rise of Skywalker has had that kind of response to it at all, like The Last Jedi did. You remember, like, everyone was calling people sexists? I don't think that's happening with this movie
can't
at all.
Well, no, they can't do that. Well, I mean, the SJWs that already believe this stuff, the nonsense people on Twitter, they're saying it, but you're not going to see the executives saying it. JJ has said the people have complaints. It's like, they're right. You know why they're saying that? It's because they literally saw what happened with the last one. Bob Iger, I guarantee you, has laid down the law and be like, stop insulting the people giving us money. Because he's a businessman, and any businessman can see, hey, the people that give us the money for the product we make, stop shitting on them.
Dude, that's a hell of a point you just made, dude. That's a really good point. I could see that. completely.
So you will definitely you will see a lot of like shill media sites and a lot of SJW media sites and different kinds of like all these different kinds of like, you know, political whatever. They're going to try and stir up stuff. They're going to be saying stuff left, right, and center. But I don't think you're going to be seeing that kind of stuff from like J.J. Abrams or like the executives. Maybe Kathleen Kennedy, but at this point she can do whatever she wants because they're saying goodbye to her as soon as her contract is up. I promise you. If they don't do that, then I don't know what they're doing business wise because that's what they're setting up for. They're setting up for her departure.
Well, let's wrap this up, kind of, man, because I can get out of here before too long.
We've been Weisenhoff, and we were talking about Rise of Skywalker, and we hope you enjoyed.
I'm so tired and exhausted, and been drinking. I can't do much more speaking. Also, I'm done thinking and speaking about all this. I was never trying to give credit to The Last Jedi. I'll say that. Not at all. I'm just saying I'm not going to say any more about it. That's all I'm saying.
I got you.
I think they're both turds in the toilet. I think they're both turds in the toilet. And also, The Force Awakens. I think you can throw that in there as well now. I think Force Awakens. I watched that
retroactively, yeah.
Tuesday. I watched that Tuesday. It aged horribly
because of the movies that came out now. Yeah, like all the setups, you just see our point. Yeah,
it looks worse than the Phantom Menace. I'm not even joking, like at all. It looks worse than the Phantom Menace. You go back and watch The Force Awakens now. It's
and I don't really have a desire to because I know because why do I watch Star Wars? Because like so watch the next one, like the story, the saga. I watched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3 or however I want to do it. But with these ones, like it's disjointed, it's messy, it's bleh. The one doesn't lead the next. I don't care. I'll just watch 1 through 6 or 4.
Face, let me tell you why I like to watch Star Wars. It makes me feel good. And let me tell you why I don't watch this new sequel trilogy. It doesn't make me feel good.
That was well put.
Exactly.
So we're gonna end it. We're gonna call it. That's the last thought. Hoff had a wonderful last thought. Why don't you like the new Disney trilogy? It doesn't make me feel good. Why do you like Star Wars? It makes me feel good. Why don't we like this Star Wars? It doesn't make me feel good. That was well put.
That's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line. You just heard it. The bottom line from Hoff and over there. We're gonna call it a night.
Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for appreciate it. Being here and ranting a little.
I had to be the first to know your reaction, man. Who else?
You must have had an idea of what I would be thinking.
I hope so, but then again, Black Angus loved the movie, so
really,
yeah, apparently from what he's saying. So I don't know what to think. I was going to give you a little bit of benefit of the doubt if you did like some more.
No, yeah, I've seen people that liked us. I didn't really expect him to be one of them, but hey,
I think he just sometimes likes to be controversial, and that's just my opinion. Great guy, though. Great guy. I just think he likes to stir shit sometimes.
Well, it could be, yeah. But, I mean. That's you draw more of an audience if you say that unexpected stuff.
I just that if he legitimately loves it, good. I mean,
power to you if you love the movie. That's like people that love The Last Jedi. It's like you can love it, but like don't talk to me about it because then we're gonna like end up arguing. Because there's
objective things about these movies that can be argued. If you enjoyed it just because it makes you feel good, like the original movie made me feel good, and good for you. But for me, it's not my cup of tea.
I like watching Nicolas Cage, and his movies can be great or terrible, but I enjoy the man in the film. I'm interested just to see that now, but I can also accept that while I may like a Nicolas Cage movie, I can also at the same time accept it is not a good movie.
Absolutely.
That's how some of these Star Wars, but we have people that are like, it's Star Wars. I have to because it's Star Wars. It's like, no, don't get sucked in like that, man.
Did you see the video of the Reylos getting pissed about the end of the movie?
No, but that's hilarious.
Oh my god, dude! Yeah, I'll send you.
What are they pissed about? Is it because Ben died, or is it because?
Yeah, because of that, and they didn't get enough screen time loving each other and having sex, I guess. So.
Even though Ryan Johnson said them touching hands in his movie was the closest there'd ever be to a love scene in Star Wars.
Dude, this movie...
Ryan Johnson... Right. Okay, we've said our goodbyes. Thank you. If you just started tuning in, I apologize because we're out of here. Rise of Skywalker has depressed us to the point that we got to go. So.